It started innocuously enough, an evening like any other. I had just come home from work, my tie loosened, and the faint smell of overpriced coffee clinging to my suit. Claire was in the kitchen, humming as she diced vegetables for dinner. Our life was the epitome of suburban perfection. A charming house, a golden retriever named Max, and neighbors who waved enthusiastically every morning. But perfection, as I would soon learn, is often just a well-masked lie. The discovery came while I was looking for an old photo to include in an anniversary scrapbook. As I sifted through the digital archives on our shared cloud account, I stumbled upon a folder I didn't recognize, titled simply Trip. It seemed harmless enough. I clicked it, expecting to find pictures from one of Claire's weekend getaways with her friends. Instead, I found pictures of her and another man. In one, she was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years, leaning into him on a beachside cabana. In another, they were laughing over wine, the intimacy between them undeniable. My stomach churned. The timestamps revealed the photos were from last month, during her supposed girls' trip to Napa. 2. The confrontation. I waited for the right moment. That night over dinner, I tried to stay composed. She chatted about her day, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. My knuckles tightened around the fork, and every bite felt like chewing glass. "How's Sarah doing?" I asked casually, referencing one of her closest friends who'd supposedly accompanied her to Napa. Claire didn't miss a beat. "Oh, Sarah's great. We had so much fun catching up." The audacity of her lie was astounding. I let her dig her grave deeper, asking innocuous questions until she painted an elaborate picture of a trip that never happened. After dinner, I went upstairs, pulled up the photos, and waited for her to come to bed. When she finally entered the room, I turned the laptop screen toward her without a word. Her face went pale. "What's this?" "What do you think it is?" I replied, my voice steady despite the rage boiling beneath it. She tried to recover, stammering, "You're imagining things. Those aren't what they look like." "Oh, really?" I said, clicking through the photos one by one. Each was damning. Her hand on his thigh, his arm draped possessively around her shoulders, their lips inches apart. "Explain this, Claire! Explain this!" Her denial crumbled. She became defensive, accusing me of snooping, of invading her privacy. The audacity made my blood boil. "I'm not the one who betrayed our marriage," I snapped. "Pack your things. Get out." 3. The plan. Claire left that night, her protests falling on deaf ears, but kicking her out wasn't enough. She had shattered my trust, humiliated me, and turned our life into a lie. She needed to feel the weight of her actions. And so, I began to plan. Revenge, I decided, wasn't about rage. It was about precision. I would dismantle her life the way she had dismantled ours, quietly, methodically, irrevocably. 4. The execution. Step 1. Financial fallout. Claire had always been careless with money, relying on me to manage the household finances. I knew exactly where her vulnerabilities lay. The first thing I did was cut her off. Our joint accounts were swiftly drained into a new, personal account in my name. The credit cards she loved so much were canceled. I left just enough in her account to cover a cheap motel for a few nights. Not out of kindness, but to give her a false sense of security. Next, I contacted my lawyer to initiate divorce proceedings. Claire, predictably, didn't have the means to afford her own attorney. She tried to fight for spousal support, but I had receipts for everything she'd spent on her affair: lavish dinners, hotel stays, even gifts. The evidence was damning, and the judge sided with me. Step 2. Public humiliation. Claire's public image was as curated as her Instagram feed. To her friends and colleagues, she was the picture of elegance and success. But that facade was as fragile as her lies. I anonymously mailed copies of the incriminating photos to her closest friends, family, and even her boss. I included no explanation, just the pictures with the note, "Some secrets aren't meant to stay hidden." The fallout was swift. Her friends turned on her, disgusted by her betrayal. Her family, always judgmental, disowned her. Even her boss, who prided himself on his company's family values, terminated her employment. Step 3. The affair partner. I wasn't about to let the other man off the hook. His smug face in those photos was burned into my memory. A quick online search revealed he was married with 2 kids, a seemingly upstanding family man. I compiled the photos and sent them to his wife, attaching my phone number for verification. She called me within an hour, sobbing as I confirmed everything. Together, we devised a plan to confront him. We waited until he came home one evening, blissfully unaware of the ambush waiting for him. As his wife hurled the photos in his face, I watched from the sidelines, satisfaction coursing through me. Step 4. Starting anew. With Claire out of my life, I focused on rebuilding. I renovated the house, erasing every trace of her. Friends rallied around me, their support a balm for the wounds she'd inflicted. I started dating again, cautiously at first, but eventually with confidence. The experience left me scarred but wiser. Claire's betrayal had taught me that trust, once broken, could never be fully restored. But it also taught me the value of self-respect, of never settling for less than I deserved. 5. The aftermath. Months later, I heard through the grapevine that Claire was living in a dingy apartment, struggling to make ends meet. Her affair partner had divorced her, leaving her with nothing. Her friends had abandoned her, and her once bright future was now a shadow of its former self. As for me, life was better than ever. I had a new partner who cherished me, a thriving career, and a renewed sense of purpose. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold. But for me, it was more than that. It was justice.